Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Nigel Farage was being interviewed by Jordan Peterson, who is, I believe, a Canadian psychologist. He's a very clever bloke. And he was interviewing Nigel, and Nigel went into a little bit of a rant over the Tories. And, you've got to think he's right, isn't he? He's saying the Tory party aren't the Tory party. He says the last Tory government was in power for 14 years and did nothing that Tories are supposed to do. They increased the tax burden to the highest it's been since the Second World War. He said that's not the Tory way. The Tory way should be low tax. He says you've got immigration at hitherto unconceivable levels. He said, again, that's not the Tory way. The Tories always protected the borders. That's a very socialist thing to do. And then he says, and then the enshrinement of net zero into law was sheer lunacy. But again, he says that's not the Tory way. What's going on? Well, he's saying that a whole, succession of Tory leaders have all stopped being Tories and have all become basically Lib Dems. He says the last one who was vaguely Tory was David Cameron. He says, but since then, there've really only been Liberal Democrats. Even Boris, who tried to be a Tory, failed because of his failure over the EU. And rather than pulling out the EU, kept us in and inextricably linked with the EU. That wasn't what people voted for. And so he's saying it's just getting worse and worse. And he says, in the current leadership, not just Badenoch, but the team around her, they're all lefties too. He says the Conservative Party is no longer a party of the right. He says it's centrist at best and verging on left wing in a lot of its policy areas. He's quite right. He says it drives him potty, though. He says, and all the bullshit you hear about carbon dioxide being a pollutant. He says it's not. It's plant food. More carbon dioxide, more plants, more oxygen for us. Hey, it works. And he says this hysteria over net zero is destroying the economy, and poverty is very, very bad for the environment. He says if you want a better environment, you have wealth, not poverty. And he's quite right again. Jordan Peterson, of course, was sitting there nodding, listening, interjecting and that. But it was a cracking interview. But yeah, I think he's right. We don't have a Conservative Party anymore. We've just got two different flavours of Lib Dem. Discuss. Thanks very much. Bye.